With a million podcasts out there, we're grateful you just followed the titles. We give fantasy football advice to get your crap team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie Persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb, and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but plan for gibberish and rambling. We have recent news and games a week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start them and sit them, keep them or quit them. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions, just tell us.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Toilets and Titles. My name is Justin Stevens, and it is episode 1 of season 5 of Toilets and Titles, the main flagship show of the network. It's exciting stuff, guys. A whole lot of changes took place in the offseason. If you're just tuning in with us for the first time this season or for the first time ever, because I know we've got a lot of new Frankenstank players this year. That's our signature league for our network, our signature listeners league, and then we also have a lot of new players that Wicked was able to bring in from the League of Champions, the Tournament of Champions. That's been a wild thing that he's been putting together. So a lot of new viewers this season. So we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate that like and subscribe buttons, and obviously hit that notification so you can see when we come on, because we've got a lot of shows lined up for you guys this season. Monday night's going to be for Patreons only. Those of you that are interested in joining our Patreon, it's patreon.com/toiletsandtitles to help show a little bit of love and support for us. We've got several tiers there for you, but at one of the tier breaks, you get a waiver wire episode that we bring to you pretty much immediately after the Monday Night Football game, sometimes during the second half of the Monday Night Football game, for the waivers for that up and coming week. So you're getting that info before anybody else in your leagues, and you can set your waivers and forget it while they're all scrambling. Then you got the Tuesday night show, and then we've got several other shows from the Dynasty show with Wicked AJ and Dynasty Mike. We've got TGIF with myself and George on Friday nights. Playing with House Money, our gambling show with Iceman and DJ Prue. They're coming back. Let's see what else we got. We got After Dark on I think Wednesday or Thursday nights. Thursday nights. Sunday morning, Title Time, obviously our Start Sit show. You guys got to tune in for that one as well. Every Sunday morning starting this Sunday. That's exciting stuff with Jason and George and the guys. But Mark, man, that was kind of a lengthy intro for being the first week. But man, your Rams, they're playing this weekend. My Colts are playing this weekend. All of our teams are playing this weekend. How you feeling, buddy?
We have football in 2 days. 2 days we have football. I am so pumped. I can't wait. I got to ask you, though, the intro song, what was that theme? Was it like island music, or I think that's going to be my new thing. I try to guess the genre every week that you play a new one.
No, that one was scat, and it was actually scat number 2. It was scat number 2, but
okay,
because I did find 2 scats that I liked, so that one was scat number 2. But yeah, so we've done the Beatles, we've done rap, we've done reggae, we've done jingle, and now we've done scat number 2. And I got a dog barking in the background here, but let's see, we got some comments here. Hero J was already in earlier talking about how he's never early for anything. Obviously, neither is our man Nate. We're still waiting on him to join us. We decided to jump on without him. Playing with House Money's in the house. Speaking of which, waiting for Nate. Shocker. Rich, my man, he's in the house. Duarte, Patreon, longtime supporter Duarte. Appreciate you, buddy. But yeah, so close to football. So close we can taste it, but definitely close enough to talk about it. As we're going through, this episode is going to be a little bit different than our normal weekly episode, just because there's some segments we can't really do yet without knowing what happened last week in the NFL. So as I go through the list of our segments, I'm still going to mention them, even though we're not going to do them. First thing I want to mention, though, toylistedtitles.com, guys. Go check out all of our work there, all the episodes that we post, and all the articles that the guys are working on. We've already got guys that are working on the player profiles for college players for this next NFL draft. So for the 2025 NFL draft, we've already got a couple of those profiles on the website. So make sure you check that out, toylistedtitles.com. And we do have a Discord chat that's pretty live and pretty active as well. We have a lot of people in there in the Discord chat talking football, talking fantasy football, talking Frankenstank. If you're in the Frankenstank League and you're not in the Discord, then you are really missing out on a lot of the episode or a lot of the updates that we give out. And then you can find us at JustinFF_, at Nate_Dirt19, at MT Simon, and of course at Toylisted Titles is our handles on X. But yeah, I think well, before we get into it, the first bit of things that we would normally do would be the recent news and updates and injury updates. With all the stuff we have that are extra on tonight's episode, we're not going to get into all that. We know what we're getting into at this point. We've been talking recent news and injury updates the entire camp, off-season, preseason, all of that. So we're going to jump right into our divisional winners, Mark. So hey, Pete is in the house. What's up, Pete? Good to see you, homie.
Pete.
I saw you were back doing a mock draft last night with the affiliate. So great job, great work there. I don't know how much more they're going to do mock drafts on Mondays, but it's the affiliate. They're going to find some way to entertain you, that's for sure. So go check out the affiliate. All right, so our division winners. Football season, that's right. Football season is upon us. We got the mad scientists in the house as well. Why do we have to face each other twice Hey, it was all random, man. I don't want to do it. This is 2 years in a row now I've had to face the mad scientist twice. But if anybody knows about monsters in a lab, it's going to be the mad scientist. So I don't want to mess with you. I really don't. But it was all random. It's the luck of the wheel. Yeah, Pete. Nope. Thank you. Appreciate you, buddy. Wyatt, my man, Wyatt. We had a chance to catch up last week. I helped him out with some prep for his drafts coming up. So I just want to say hi. Watching over on YouTube mobile. Awesome. No problem, man. We appreciate you tuning in anywhere you can catch us, Wyatt. All right. Let's get rolling. So we are going to give some predictions on the season first before we get into the Frankenstein stuff or any of the other stuff for this up and coming week. Divisional winners, though. Let's start with the AFC East. I took the Dolphins. Personally, I think that's going to be a pretty tough matchup there between the Dolphins and the Bills. And you also took the Dolphins, Mark, with Nate saying forget the Dolphins and the Bills. He thinks that his Aaron Rodgers is going to come back into old form again, but I don't think we have to talk about the Jets here. But what do the Dolphins have to do to get it done?
I think Buffalo's just taking a little step back this year. Losing Diggs, got a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball. Dolphins don't, so I think they have the more powerful team.
Yeah, and I'm not certain that the Dolphins have gotten that much better on paper, but another year in that same system with the same group of guys, they didn't lose much. And then, like you said, the Bills are slowly backpedaling, and they were close last season to begin with. So, yeah, I mean, I think that one's pretty easy in my opinion. I actually chose the Jets to win last season, that division, because I really do think that quarterback was just what they needed to help put them over the top. And if that quarterback didn't just now be coming off of an Achilles injury last season, then I might still feel that way. But man, that's rough. Jerry, the man of the hour, you are the guy that a lot of people are tuning in for because they want to watch this Leprechaun wheel spin. I did move it in the dock down towards the end since Jerry was going to be late getting in, but we got late getting started. But yeah, so we will get to the Leprechaun wheel spin, I promise. Hero J Buffalo will be taking a step back this year, but Josh Allen keeps you, and that's true, and for your fantasy purposes. And we're not saying that Bills players are bad for fantasy by any means. Yeah, okay, not biased at all. Let's see. Awesome. Yep, absolutely. Here we go. So AFC South, I've got the Texans. You've got the Texans. Nate's got the Texans. Everybody's got the Texans. I'm a Colts fan, and I mean everybody except for your very avid Colts fans that think that Anthony Richardson's going to be healthy this season all have the Texans. So now, don't get me wrong. If Richardson stays healthy, the Colts are walking away with this. I'm telling you, they're that close. They're that good. They just need a quarterback. One of these days we'll get one. Let's see. AFC West. We all have the Chiefs. I don't think that's one that we really need to talk about. Now, AFC North might be something we can talk about. You and Nate have the Bengals, and I have the Ravens. So tell me why you think that Broke Joe still has what it takes with that limp wrist.
Because Cool Joe, not Broke Joe, Cool Joe is healthy. And the only thing I'm a little nervous about now, the one piece of news I wanted to bring up was Chase still hasn't practiced, still not practicing. That scares me a little bit. But I think the Bengals would be stupid not to find a way to get him on the field. So I'm still holding out hope. And when Joe's firing on all cylinders, I think the Bengals can compete with anybody.
Still got Rich just constant with his Raiders, man. Good on you. I'm proud of you, Rich. You stick with it, buddy. One of these days, it's going to happen. One of these days. Let's see. On to the NFC for our East division winners. We do have a little bit of discrepancy there. I've got the Cowboys. You and Nate both have the Eagles. I am a noted Sirianni hater. But I will be honest with you, this pick doesn't have as much to do with that because they've got a new offensive coordinator, they've got a new defensive coordinator. Sirianni's not calling any plays. Like, they're kind of taking some of the control away from Sirianni, I believe, because I mean, even Hurts wasn't talking to the coach towards the end of the season last year. Like, he had already lost the locker room. I'm surprised he's even still there. They're only a coach away from being able to make it happen. So, but even all of that aside, I just think that the Cowboys are the more talented team this year, and I know that they're losing. They're kind of losing at the running back position since the Eagles have gained at the running back position, but I don't know. Just we got some more comments in here. Washington, man, Rich is just all about the underdogs here. Dallas wins the East and gets bounced around. Yeah, that's a Cowboys fan that's saying this, guys. This isn't a hater. It's just a Cowboys fan. Hey, what's going on, Scrappy? Hey, appreciate you tuning in. All right, that laugh that you just heard in the background there, that's our man Nate. He has graced us with his presence. Nate, how's it going tonight?
Good.
Welcome
Sorry,
to
I'm
the
late,
party,
fellas.
pal.
I apologize.
All good.
I apologize.
All good.
I'm excited
So
to
we're
be
just
here.
talking about the week 1.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be talking about your Packers soon. That's good. That's good. That's fun. So we are talking division winners. We are down to the NFC South. We've got I've got the Falcons. Nate, you've got the Bucks. Mark, you have the Falcons. So Mark and I have the Falcons. So Nate, you're the one that needs to explain yourself.
There's 2 reasons. One, I like, I think Baker looked good last year. I know things are going to change with Canales gone, but not really too much. I like their head coach. I like the pieces they have on offense, and I like their odds to, they got pretty good odds for winning the division. And I'm not really sold on the Falcons yet. I don't know. I still think they're really slow, and I'm concerned if Kirk gets hurt at all. Penix didn't play a snap in the preseason. They let Taylor Heineke play the whole time, and then they traded him. That doesn't make sense. Kid's a rookie. Probably should have played. I hope Kirk's healthy because Kurt. Sorry, I don't know what I'm calling him Kirk. Kurt is healthy because I do want to see what they have, but I like the Bucks.
All right, fair enough. The NFC West, the Rams. Mark, you chose the Rams. Nate and I chose not to choose your home team that you love to root for. So tell us why are we wrong for taking the 49ers?
Because we have one of the most powerful
I seriously thought you were going to stop it because
because that's okay.
Hey, I'm just saying, if somebody gets hurt on the 49ers, they're going to take a huge fall down. If Christian McCaffrey doesn't stay healthy the full season, they're going to fall
Trent Williams
significantly down. But no, I think if Kupp stays healthy the entire season, I think we got an offense that can compete with anybody. Our defense is going to be a little iffy, but I think we got a scrappy young team who can put some turnovers in some games. Help us out.
Scrappy.
Honestly,
scrappy.
Mark, my biggest concern, like I said, I wanted to pick the Rams. I did. I was like this close. My biggest concern for the Rams is Stafford. Not he can still sling it. I know that. If he gets hurt, I'm saying. If he gets hurt, that's my biggest concern for the Rams. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think we could say that for just about
any our season's over. Just like, I mean, we're putting Stenson Bennett in there, so it's not going to be pretty.
His elbow, that kind of stuff makes me a little nervous sometimes. But I feel like your line's better this year than it was last year.
Oh, for sure.
So I like that. So I should have picked the Rams, but I didn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and scrappy, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a little scrappy. So I like that little nod to you. Rich reminds us that Scrappy is actually one of our newer listeners. So Scrappy, we mean this with all due affection to you, sir. Here is our royal flush salute. Oh, I forgot to turn the sound on. My bad. We salute you, sir. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the show.
I do see Scrappy as a Dolphins fan. I'd like to apologize ahead of time for my I like most of the Dolphins. So he can tune in Thursday to listen to Rich and I and Abe talk about him.
Seahawks taking it. So Rich is pretty much just taking anybody that could win him $1 million on a $10 bet.
Seahawks are long. I'm excited to see what the Seahawks do. I really am. I don't know. I think Geno takes care of the ball. I think that'll be very, he'll take care of the ball. And I think their defense should play better with McDonald back there, or as the coach now. So it'll be interesting.
And then the NFC North, we already know Rich is going with the Vikings, but myself and Mark went with the Lions. And then the homer pick here that needs to explain himself is our man Nate.
I mean, what do you expect? Mark gets to pick his Rams. I'd pick my Packers. I think I do think it's
one of those is a little more far-fetched than the other.
Why do you guys think it's so far-fetched? You really think the Lions are going to Super Bowl, don't you?
No, I meant his is a little bit more far-fetched than the other.
Oh, well, my thing is there's a couple things. I don't know. I think the Lions they're going to be good. They're going to be competitive like they have been. I feel like if Dan Campbell doesn't stick to his guns, they'll have a better chance. But if he's going to continue to go for fourth, all the time, not punt, not like I said, I'm that's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's your game. I get that, but you kind of got to look at the game, and it's not always worth it because 10 years ago you get fired for going for on fourth down and not converting. Now they're like, oh, he's just doing his own thing. It's like, well, that's whatever. But I don't know. I got a lot of confidence in the Packers, and that'll probably just hurt me in a month. But hey, you gotta be confident in something.
And honestly, just like you said, for my division, I was very close to taking the Packers as well. I think it's close. I just slightly lean towards the Lions.
I get it.
And I don't know. This actually, I think, kind of hurts you, though. It hurts the Packers' odds here because Rich is actually taking the Packers. So
no.
That's not.
Rich is always
he's really great with
Packers fan.
Yeah. He's great at drafting. He's a phenomenal fantasy player, but he loves those underdogs on the field. What can we say? As a Miami fan, every year I say we're going to the Super Bowl. I know how the heartbreak is, but we do it to ourselves. Yep, very true. We all do it to ourselves. That's for sure. Except for me, I don't do it to myself. Chris Ballard does it to me. Let's see. Playoff seeds. We'll just run down each of our own. I've got the Ravens as the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Chiefs at number 2, the Texans number 3, the Dolphins at number 4, with the Steelers as the 5 seed, the Bills at the 6, and the Jets at the 7 seed.
I love it.
Yeah, I do have. I've got the Jets doing enough to get in there. Like Rodgers, his leg is his foot's gonna stay attached to his leg just long enough to get him into the playoffs.
I can't believe you have the Steelers as
NFC.
5 seed. That's what's wild. I love it. I'm excited.
Really, that's why I've actually got them within a game of the Ravens for the division. Like, because anytime that the Steelers defense is healthy, and now they actually have somewhat serviceable quarterbacks, which I know they're not great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the quarterback play is the reason why they're going to be the 5 seed. I think that the quarterback play is what was keeping them from being the 5 seed. So now they have just serviceable enough quarterbacks. If their defense stays healthy, that's a really good team.
And which quarterback is leading them to the playoffs?
Mason
Fields,
Rudolph.
in my opinion, but either one of them, really. Mason Rudolph. Let's see.
Rich. Come on.
Dude, that's got to pay. A $5 bet's got to pay $1 million for that.
Wow. Ravens or the Raiders? How do you go from an actual potential Super Bowl team
I think
to
he's doing
the Raiders?
Or Raiders. Ravens, Raiders. Yeah. Wow.
Hell yeah.
Right. All right. My NFC teams, I've got the number 1 seed are the 49ers. Number 2 are the Cowboys. Number 3 are the Lions. The Falcons at the 4 seed. The Eagles at the 5. Packers at the 6. And then your Rams, Mark, I actually have sneaking in there as the 7th seed.
Ticket to the dance.
Nate, you're up.
For my AFC, I got the Bengals being the number 1 seed. I just think that they are going to be. I got a good feeling about it this year. I think the Chiefs will be fine, but the Chiefs as the 2 seed. I have the Jets as my 3 seed, Texans 4, and then Ravens as the 5, the Browns as the 6 seed because I think their defense is really, really good. And then Dolphins for Mr. Scrappy sneaking in there as the 7 seed. In the NFC, for some reason, I have the Eagles as the number 1 seed. I don't know why I picked them. I just didn't want to be a homer and say it was going to be the Packers, and I just couldn't bring myself to have the number 1 seed. So Eagles 1, Niners is 2, Packers the 3 seed, Bucks as the 4. Then the Rams are the 5 seed. There you go, Mark. That's a little better. Lions is the 6, and the Cowboys is the 7 seed, which it'd be fun watching them get their butts kicked by the 49ers first round of the playoffs. So.
I feel like the Rams might make another jump here with this next one. Mark, what do you have?
All right, so for the AFC,
maybe a slight jump.
We had a 4th guy.
Just a little bit. We're not going crazy here or anything. No, for the AFC, I got the Chiefs number 1. I got the Dolphins as the 2 seed. I got the Bengals as the 3 seed. Texans as the 4. I got the Ravens as the 5 seed, Bills as the 6, and sneaking in at number 7, just for Justin, I got the Colts with Richardson staying healthy, or at least
I think you said Joe Flacco,
or at least coming back before the end of the season.
Justin, I did finish drafting a dynasty league the other day with a buddy I got roped into, and I took Joe Flacco as my last pick just for you. I don't have Richardson, but I got Joe Flacco, so I'm ready.
It's going to pay off. And your NFC.
So for the number 1 seed, I have the Eagles. No, it's not the Rams. It's the Eagles. I really think the Cowboys are going to be hurting this year. And I think the Eagles are just going to run away with that division. I don't think it's going to be close. I have the Rams as the 2 seed. If they're winning the division, they're going to be at least the 2 seed. So that's where I have them. The Lions are the 3 seed, Falcons at the 4. I got the 49ers at the 5 seed. Nate, I got your Packers at 6. And I I have a coin flip between the Cowboys or the Bucks as the last seed. I think
then flip a coin.
All right, the Cowboys are out. We're putting the Bucks in the
Hell
playoff.
yeah.
Forget the Cowboys; they're done.
All right. Very good. Very good.
No contract for Dak. McCarthy's out.
I think what they did with that running back room is absolutely horrendous. Bringing back Zeke on his last leg.
Hey.
We saw what Dalvin Cook could do for the Jets last year. Absolutely nothing, right?
2017, that running back room was going to be money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you, Scrappy. All right. So let's see what else we got. Patreon.com/toilets to titles, guys. Please, again, help support the show, help support the guys with what we're doing here, help us pay the bills. And then, of course, hit that like and subscribe button. But now for our Super Bowl predictions. This one's pretty easy for me on the AFC side. And I know it shouldn't be easy because you still have Pat Mahomes, you still have Travis Kelce. Now they have a solid wide receiver one, in my opinion, in Rashee Rice. So I should be going with the Chiefs, but I can't get over this. I feel like if Lamar can stay healthy with this better improved running back room with an even more improved defense than they already were, I think that the Ravens in another year in this system have what it takes to be the Super Bowl champs, and I've got them beating the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. So Nate, go ahead with this next one, Nate.
Bengals winning the Super Bowl, beating the Eagles. I wanted to pick the Packers, but I don't want to be a homer. So I'm saying the Eagles make it. I think the Bengals are. I think they're in a good place. I don't know. Jamar Chase is going to be playing. I don't think he has a choice. He has 4 years left on his deal, so I think they're going to make a run. And if he wants to get paid, he's going to have a huge year. And I love the Ravens. I've said it multiple times how I think they're great. But I talked myself out of them in the last couple of days. And I don't even know if they're going to win the division, but I do think their offense is greatly improved. I'm nervous about their offensive line, mainly because their coach had tragically passed away not too long ago, and that's going to be tough. But I don't know. I think the Bengals and Burrow are going to be the guys to beat.
Anytime we can put up a comment long enough to block Mark's face is probably better for our ratings. So there's that. But yeah, no, and I agree with you, Dylan, especially for fantasy purposes. Like, don't shy away from Dak. Don't shy away from CeeDee Lamb. No matter what you think of the team, man. Whether this is still a fantasy centric team or a show, so we got to mention that. Whether you talk if you talk highly of the Cowboys like myself or Dylan, or you talk negatively about them like pretty much everybody else, don't avoid the fantasy players.
Oh, absolutely not. They can still put up a lot of points and still lose by 50.
Happy to put my money where my mouth is. Nate's Cincy calls are wild. All right, let's see. Mark, you're up. Oh, surprise.
Nate, I mean, all I'm going to say is don't be a coward, right? Don't be a coward. Let's go. Rams are winning the Super Bowl.
All right.
Dethroning the dynasty of the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, why not, right?
All right. All right. So
this is my fantasy, and in my fantasy, Aaron Donald comes back to us for a playoff run and pushes us over the edge.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so they just sign him in the wild card round. He comes in just to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We have 6 different teams in the Super Bowl between the 3 of us.
Well.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is our best fantasy player that's likely wasn't drafted in your leagues. So the reason I wanted to put this in there is because, guys, now that week 1 is upon us, you've had your drafts. You don't want to drop your guys to pick these guys up because you drafted them for a reason. Those are your guys. You stick with your guys. You play with your guys in week 1. Enjoy this first week with everything that you have in it just to see what your guys have. And then if you were wrong about somebody, you have to be ready to be fluid. You got to be ready to be water and understand when you were wrong about somebody and be willing to drop them to pick somebody else up. So these are the guys that we're saying you need to be watching in week 1, because there's a chance that maybe they get a little more opportunity than we were expecting, or maybe they've taken a step up in this past offseason, or maybe a new offensive coordinator is springing them into some fantasy action. So these are guys to watch in week 1 to be ready to pick up in the week 1 waiver wire after the first week is done. And mine, guys, is Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver for Washington. The Commanders finally gave up on the Johan Dotson experiment, and they drafted a Hall of Fame wide receiver's son and a future Hall of Fame running back's brother in the 3rd round, as the team is searching for their true wide receiver 2 on this team. Right now, he only has to beat out Noah Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus. So watch his usage in week 1, and if it seems to increase in week 2, then you definitely want to go swipe him up after week 2. If you had to wait a little bit longer, maybe you didn't want to give up hope yet on somebody that you had drafted, and you gave him that extra week. Because if it increases from week 1 to week 2, then that's going to start showing a trend, and then he's going to get expensive to get off of your waivers. So try to get him after week 1. Definitely get him after week 2 if the usage is still going up. Nate, who do you have?
Big surprise, he's a Cincinnati Bengal. Jermaine Burton. I think the Alabama speedster was drafted to take the top off the defense. Tyler Boyd's gone, so he's definitely going to take that spot. And then he's really there to replace T. Stevens. I mean, Higgins. I know it's Justin's guy. I had to.
Yeah, sure.
But really, that's why he's there. I think they know Higgins is gone at the end of the year. They're not paying him. And he is going to be, I said, Burton's going to be the guy. He had some off-field issues, but I'm hopeful that they're gone. They aren't going to be gone, but that they can kind of keep him away from that stuff. And I'm confident Jamar Chase suits up, and I think that's going to only help them out because Chase will go in the slot. They can have Burton on the outside. He's super fast. And, like I said, if you can pick him up now, do it. Or like Justin said, the next week or two, I think, I don't expect him to go out there and have 8 catches for 120 yards by any means, but like I said, I think he's definitely got to keep an eye on.
We got some nice little back and forth between Rich and Jerry in the comments. So if you're watching this, make sure you go check out the comments and watch this. This is pretty fun stuff. But Rich agrees with me, so I think he's a smart man. Oh, hey, thank you very much, Scrappy, man. We appreciate the donation there. So everything that comes in on our YouTube channel typically goes towards the Canton Fund. So we greatly appreciate you chipping in there, man. Appreciate you very much. Let's see, Mark, who is your guy to watch in week 1?
So I just want to say first, I love the Luke McCaffrey call. And one thing I want to say about looking at players like this is if you're on a guy like this and you get him and you see the little notes, whether you're playing in Sleeper or ESPN and stuff like that, if you have a little negative note, don't let that deter you away from a player, because you're going to see that a lot. You'll see people draft like lotto tickets late, and then right before the season, you get a little bad note and people panic and drop the players, and then they go off and you lost them. So don't be afraid of the little negative comments, because in one of my dynasty leagues, very deep league, we have like 38 players on the roster. I took McCaffrey with my last rookie pick, and the very first note I saw today was he's not showing any separation or guaranteeing that he's one of the top 4 receivers.
Probably won't be fantasy relevant this year. They always say that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they don't know for sure.
No,
you got to see it with your own eyes.
Writing things up.
That's all I want to say is don't be deterred from those little notes. But my guy that I really like that isn't drafted in a lot of leagues is Josh Reynolds, wide receiver for Denver. Denver surprisingly cut Tim Patrick after he had a pretty good preseason. Anyways,
it was looking like it was going to be his time.
Yeah, for sure. And I was always a big Tim Patrick fan, so I was a little sad about that. But what that does for Josh Reynolds is that leaves Denver with a very thin wide receiver core. They got Cortland Sutton, and then they got Marvin Mims, and Marvin Mims really hasn't shown anything yet this year. Or, I mean, there's past years. Last year, Josh Reynolds put up 130 fantasy PPR points in a very crowded Detroit offense. So now that he's going to an offense, a little less firepower, obviously, but more opportunities. So I think he's a sneaky one to keep an eye on the first couple weeks, and then run out and grab him.
Yeah, I like that. And then also, if it's not him, it might be Troy Franklin, the rookie. So either way, like pay attention to both of them and see which one steps up and takes it. And Jerry put one in the comments here. He's talking about Aiden O'Connell. Just relax. I know this was a shot at Rich, but still funny. He said he's going to relax a few weeks so that he's fresh. To help get the Raiders into the wild card round. And I agree with you, Jerry. I do think that Aiden O'Connell sitting will help the Raiders with their chances to get into the wild card round.
Because he won't play.
But I think that for different reasons. Yeah.
I'm with you.
I think that for different reasons. And I like this one too, Jerry, because Singletary is not a guy that I've pushed for anybody to try to draft anywhere. I don't care about the usage. The usage is great unless the usage is bad. Like the problem with only going by usage alone, whenever Singletary has this bad of an offensive line and he's not the greatest running back to begin with, then if that usage is only a yard per carry, if that usage is only 4 catches a game, and he's not scoring touchdowns because that offense can't get into the red zone, then the problem is you're starting him just based off of usage, and you're only getting 8 to 12 points a game from him. So you're not getting huge weeks from him. So he's not winning you fantasy games. He might end up as a high-end running back 2 overall, but he never had a week that won you a fantasy game. So I agree with you, Jerry, completely. Wait and see if Eric Gray has anything in him, or maybe Tracy takes the role, because then maybe you have a little bit of talent at the running back spot, and then you also have the usage with them. But even then, then I'm worried that they're just going to split more. I don't know. I don't want that backfield in any way, but it is
terrible.
Yeah.
I don't want any running back that's getting hit behind the line 3 out of 4 times he touches the ball. So
yeah, Rich, we got jokes.
There's not many Giants I want. Sorry, Joe.
All right, this is a segment that we're going to be keeping every week, and we have to start it this week. This is a segment that Nate, back in the day when it was you and myself and Coach, we started this segment. It is the game of the week. So we're going to give a game of the week, and we're trying to determine which games we think are going to be the closest games by the end of the game. Or we can just flat out choose the game that we think is the funnest game for us to watch, because sometimes I choose the Colts even if I know it's going to be a blowout either way, because I'm excited to watch them play that game for whatever reason. But for this week, since I'm the one that created the doc and I'm the one that put it out there to you guys first, I made sure to fill in mine first on this one, because I didn't want you guys to have the opportunity. I admit that I pulled that on you guys. But I went with the Ravens at the Chiefs, Thursday Night Football, opening kickoff, 2 nights from tonight. We're gonna like we're saying at the top of the show, gonna finally get to see some good football. We get 2 fantasy relevant teams with a lot of fantasy football. You got it. Some people are actually still starting the Ravens defense because they're so good, and it's week 1 and you only picked one defense to begin with. You don't have room on your roster for a second defense, so that defense is going up against the Chiefs. Then you got Pat Mahomes, you've got Lamar, Derrick Henry, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce. There's a lot of fantasy involved in this game, on top of the fact that it's just finally football. So I'm excited about this game. Nate, who's your game of the week?
Bet the Chiefs. Don't care if it's money line or the spread. I like Cowboys traveling to Cleveland. Really, I'm picking. I just don't know what. I know Justin makes Justin happy because he hates the Browns. I'm not sure what the Browns are doing. I'm excited to see their defense play, but I'm also excited to see what the Cowboys are going to do. I think their offensive line is going to be better than it was last year. And, like I said, I just think it's going to be good. The line has shifted a ton in a way I didn't think it would go. So now that the Cowboys are actually road dogs, they were like 4-point favorites to start, and now they're 2.5-point dogs. So I'm not sure how. Like I said, I don't know the last time I watched Deshaun Watson play football. So, yeah, we're going to see how that goes, but I'm excited for the game. I'm excited for all of them, but pretty looking forward to this one Sunday afternoon.
You're our gambling guy, Nate. So I've got 2 questions here for you. Rich says that if you're a gambling degenerate, you should take the under on the Chiefs Ravens. Do you agree with that? On the overall
I don't
score?
like to take the under because I don't like gambling on bad football. I want to see people score. I can't take the under of that game. That makes you nervous. I mean, I'm trying to think what the score was of the title game last year. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I don't know what the Ravens defense is actually going to be this year with the new defensive coordinator. That, that kind of makes me think that the Chiefs will have the upper hand, among other things too. But I can't take the under on that one. There's no way. Like you said, it could be one of those games where it's like 17-10, but I don't think that happens.
Plus, I wonder how much they've figured in the kickoff rules for the over-under. I'm sure all of the over-unders are probably a little bit higher this year, or going to be a little higher this year. And then the other one I got to ask you about is Jerry Bagshaw is in the house, and he says over or under 5 plays on Aaron Rodgers.
That's not funny. Come on, dude. He's just mad because they're going to win the AFC East. The over-under 40.
Does the league hate Aaron Rodgers though?
I do.
Like, dude played 2 snaps last year on a primetime game, and now his first game back from that torn ACL is the Niners in primetime. Like,
yeah, I think he played 4 snaps. It was 3rd down and then the snap of his Achilles.
Yep.
I think it was 4 snaps total. Let's see. 17-10 was the score of the title game, according to Scrappy, and Scrappy seems like a smart guy.
I just said that. Maybe it will be 17-10. That's funny.
Ravens Chiefs, according to Bagshaw here, we've got the Chiefs are at -3.5. Over under is 46.5. You sure about that, Nate? If it was,
it's
I mean, that's too pretty. No, I said, is Nate sure about this with not taking the under? Because if it was 17-10 last year, and I think both of these defenses are improved from last year. I know I agree with the concern of the new defensive coordinator, but I think the talent on the field is a little better this year. Even I don't know. That might be. How about this? How about I'm not going to bet it either way?
Like I said, if I'm betting anything on that game, I'm taking the Chiefs -3.5 or the Chiefs money line.
Playing with house money says take the over on the Rodgers sacks Monday. That makes sense.
Jets line's good. Jets line is good.
Plus first game of the season. Yep. All right. Let's see. We need to move on here. Nate, you had your game of the week. Mark, I hope you don't choose this team every single week, but for week 1, I really understand.
Yeah, but I mean the game too. I didn't even realize that the goal of this was to try to get the closest game, and it still fits.
I kind of forgot that too.
Yeah,
I was like, in my head, I'm like, I think that's what we do, but I'm just gonna pick this game anyways.
We're going Rams and Lions, Sunday Night Football in Detroit. Stafford's going back to Detroit for a second time. It's a rematch of the playoff matchup. It's going to be high scoring. Bet the over on this game for sure. Bet it. Yeah, I mean, look, you got Laporta, you got Amon St. Brown, you got Gibbs, you got Montgomery. Then on the other side of the ball, you got Kupp, you got Puka, you got Stafford, you got Kyron, you got Blake Corum. Yes, Blake Corum is going to be involved.
A touchdown this week.
What's that?
Don't forget about Jameson Williams. He's scoring a touchdown this week. 1 catch, 45 yards and a touchdown.
Okay. No, I think this is going to be a back and forth game. I'll get my analysis on it a little bit later because it is one of my underdog picks.
So this is exactly why you start drinking about 3 hours before, just in case, Iceman. He says that so many people dropping money on Thursday Night Football that it's going to be a bore. So just start drinking ahead. You'll be fine.
Yeah, why? You get it.
Let's go, J-Mo.
Yeah, I just start drinking tomorrow.
All right.
I start drinking tomorrow after work. Get good and primed up till Thursday night.
All right, upset of the week. This is not a segment that I think we're going to have every week, but I want to make this a segment every week. It depends on time, but this is probably going to be the first to go if we do need to cut a segment. But the upset of the week for this week, I'm going to choose the Colts at home against the Texans. As down as I am about my Colts all the time, and Anthony Richardson and Chris Ballard and all of that, and then even JT to an extent, I'm going to choose the Colts in this one. A home game against the Texans. Even I chose the Texans to win the division, and everybody here chose the Texans, and everybody anywhere is choosing the Texans. But the Colts will at least have Anthony Richardson to start week 1, and he is the difference for this Colts. So I put down that he's the difference of the Colts being bad and the Colts winning the division. So at home with a fully healthy team, they will beat the Texans, in my opinion, and the Colts are getting 2.5 points, so they are technically the home dogs in this one. But I like the Colts to win this one outright, and I honestly, I think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it'll be more than 5 points.
I like it.
All right, Nate, who's your upset?
I'm ready to get some more hate on this one. I think the Jets start the season a lot different this year. Rodgers is finally going to get over that San Francisco hump, because I feel like I watched him get beat by the 49ers as a 1 seed, just so many times. But the Super Bowl loser, I believe, is 4-20 against the spread the last 24 years. So I know last year I think it was the Steelers beating the Bengals to start the year. Is that last year, right? Maybe. Yeah, I think it was. Anyways, I like the Jets, and I think the Niners have had quite a bit of turmoil, whether or not it's been as public. I know the Ayuk thing was crazy. But as far as Trent Williams just getting back today or tomorrow, that's not very much practice. He is the most important part of that offense, in my opinion. They can't run the ball to the left without him. They got to, if he's not there, they got to chip whoever is rushing there. So, having him back is huge for them. But, like I said, I like the Jets. So, and they're 4.5-point dogs on the road.
Yeah.
And it's on natural grass, which is probably the reason Rodgers didn't play in the preseason, because they didn't want him on that turf at MetLife to probably break his neck, because it's that shitty.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see all season, honestly. How he reacts to that. That turf is just horrible.
Tyrod's going to play the home games. Rodgers is playing the road games.
There you go. All right, Mark. Who's your never mind. Just go ahead.
No, honestly, I did not want to pick the Rams here for my underdog of the week. But looking at the board, I really don't like any of these underdogs to win outright. I feel like there's a few who can cover the spread. The only other one I looked at just a little bit was maybe Tennessee over the Bears.
Oh, yeah.
I just couldn't plant my flag on it. So I'm going with the Rams over Detroit. I think, like I've mentioned before, the Rams have the offense to keep up with anybody. So they're going to put up a lot of points. And I think what's going to be the edge that pushes them over is the turnover battle. I think the Rams are going to get a turnover late, whether it's a strip sack or a late interception, and that's going to seal the deal.
Dan Campbell's going to go for it on 4th and 19 on his own 4-yard line. And
yeah, my nephew's high school football coach, he goes for it on 4th down all the time. I call him Dan Campbell. Let's see. Jerry Bagshaw says Steelers to beat the Falcons, and I think it's insane that the Steelers are dogs in this one. But he did confirm that that it's the Falcons minus 3.5. That's crazy to me.
Well, the one thing too with that 3.5 points, generally the home team gets 3 points. That's kind of how I like to look at that. They're like a 0.5-point favorite. It's kind of what, in my opinion, more of this. A lot of times that's not everywhere, but an Iceman, if he's still on here, he could probably say that a little smarter. But that's kind of how I always look at it. That the home team gets 3 points.
I guess. And Mark, I heard you say why, but it's because I really think the Steelers are that good of a team. And then they're going up against the Falcons of all team. The Falcons shouldn't be favored against anybody except divisional opponents.
The only reason the Falcons were trash last year was because they had Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota at quarterback.
What's the excuse for all the other seasons?
Don't blame Ridder. They're slow. That is the slowest
team. What
team
other
in the
seasons,
NFL.
though?
That is the
They had
slowest
it.
team in the
They
NFL.
were good when they had Matt Ryan. That was the last time they had a quarterback.
He's been retired for 16 years.
I know. That's the last time they've had a quarterback.
It's not Desmond Ritter's fault that they drafted a running back instead of an offensive lineman.
I just think the Steelers got Russell Wilson, and that's pushing them over the top. But Kirk Cousins isn't going to do anything for the Falcons. I don't know. I think the Falcons winning that division is the safest bet of any division winner.
Defense.
It's been 7 years.
He has 2 interceptions in his career. That's like their big defensive pickup.
7 years since the Falcons had a winning record, and Matt Ryan played for them for 1, 2, 3 more years after that. 4 more years after that. So no, they suck. It's the Falcons. They're going to find a way to falcon it up.
Justin, who'd you pick as your division winner for that division?
Probably the Falcons. But that's because of the entire division.
Thank you. All right.
They could still not have a winning record and win that damn division. All right.
That division is not good.
All right, Wyatt. So just so you know, Wyatt, just to be clear, man, I have tried to disrespect Nate. It's not possible. Like,
no. You're good, dude. It's fine. I love it.
Major hype around the Falcons. Steelers defense will be stout. Yeah, to be honest with you, Jerry, my son has picked up the Falcons defense in a lot of leagues in the last round, and he's stoked about all the new players they have. So, I mean, it's possible, I guess, but Lions will win according to Rich. Let's see. All right. So we are going to do a start 'em or sit 'em segment on our normal weekly show. We're not doing the next 4 segments tonight. The next 4 segments will all be next week because a lot of these other segments we're not going to have every week. But start 'em and sit 'em, we're each going to choose, I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 3 guys that we would start and 1 to 3 that we would sit. But for the most part, we want you to try to go log in, tune in on Sunday mornings to Title Time and watch our guys on Sunday mornings. Ask them in the comments section who they should start and sit. You can still ask us. We're still going to answer your questions. But more specifically, Sunday, when we have all the information of the week, we have all the updates, we know who's playing where, what the weather conditions are going to be like, and all that sort of stuff. You want to tune in Sunday mornings for them. I got a keep them or quit them that I want to do that I'd like to do where I'm going to lay out a couple of scenarios. And I'll give you a list of maybe 3 or 4 players, and then you two are going to decide whether or not you would rather keep these players or quit on them. We're probably going to start that next week. Hot waiver wire ads. Of course, our Patreons are going to get all of the waiver wire ads, but we're each going to add one guy on this list that we like as hot waiver wire ads because our show runs on Tuesday nights, and a lot of waivers run on Wednesdays. So for those of you that run Wednesday waivers, you'll have that episode. And then weekly streams, that's a segment that I usually did by myself last year because Coach did the start and sit. So we're going to do a weekly stream this year where we each choose a couple of guys that we would stream based off of their positions. But I really like this episode or this next segment though. So Mark, I'm going to let you explain this one and done eliminator thing.
Yeah. So we're just going to do a one and done. We're going to use all the positions. We're going to use quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Each week, we're going to take one player at each position. Once we use them, we can't use them for the rest of the season. So you really want to find the guys you think are going to pop this week and then not waste them for another, you know?
Yeah, right on. Why don't you go ahead and show us how it's done?
Okay. So for what I did for my team, I'm going quarterback, Matthew Stafford. I already been preaching it that it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I want all of the Rams offense there, so I'm going to take Matt Stafford. Running back, Giants have one of the worst rush defenses in the league, so I'm taking Aaron Jones with the Vikings. Wide receiver, Justin's a little angry at me. He thinks I'm taking a little cop-out here. But I'm taking Jamar Chase / T. Higgins. If Chase doesn't play, I'm taking T. Higgins. If Chase plays, obviously, I'm taking Chase.
What is it, sleeper? Can you get to do the auto switch thing? Come on.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
I mean, we play fantasy football here. We don't start bench like inactive players. So I have until
So just
1 o'clock to make my official decision.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, I'm starting Pat Fryermuth, but if for whatever reason I change my mind, I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts.
Oh yeah.
Hey, if you let me know before 1 o'clock, I'll allow it.
Okay, so just so we know, so this is week 1, so we're setting the precedence now. So we're able to change it up until kickoff, but we have to let the other two know.
I think anytime there's an inactive player, you can replace the player with somebody else.
But only inactive.
We're doing it on a
Only
Tuesday.
inactive. Only inactive.
Only inactive. Only
Okay,
inactive.
all right, cool,
Only
sounds
inactive.
good.
I mean, we are
All right,
doing this on a Tuesday for Sunday, so anything can happen.
You may proceed.
But anyways, for my tight end, I love football, so I got to have a piece of the Thursday night game. So I'm going with Mark Andrews. I want to use him before he gets hurt again. So I'm going to get it done in week 1.
All right, excellent. Nate, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going Kyler Murray, Mayor Munchkin land. I think he's going to light it up. I think the Bills' defense is going to be struggling. Matt Milano gone is not good for them. And that's another upset game I like too. I almost picked was the Cardinals. But yeah, give me Kyler. I think he's going to light it up. Him, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, and probably Michael Wilson. Running back, I'm calling him Chuck Brown. I know it's Chase Brown. He's the guy for the Bengals. It's hard. They weren't really sure he was the RB1, but he is. I like what I've seen. And the Patriots, it's hard not to choose a lot of Bengals because the Patriots, I know their defense was like good last year, but I don't think it's going to be good ever again. So yeah, him, and then wide receiver, Mark Sky, Cooper Kupp. There's any week you could probably play him, but I think he wants to show that he's healthy. He's back. He's the number 1. And so I think he's going to light it up. My last one, I had to pick a bear just because, sometimes I like to do dumb things. So give me Cole Kmet. If the handbag man can do anything well at all, he's going to have to dump it off to the tight end every now and then. I don't know if the Titans defense, it's hard to tell. They got a bunch of old dudes they picked up, so they might be good. They might not be good. But I think Cole Kmet's going to be a solid option, even though, he's got 14 other receivers to throw to, but we'll see what happens.
I just want to say your Chuck Chase Brown pick. If there's one player I have overexposure on this year, it's Chase Brown. I don't think there's a single league, dynasty, keeper, redrafts. I have him in every league. I've been calling it the infinity gauntlet of Chase Brown because
I'm drafting him tomorrow night in like the 3rd round, so you don't get him in our staff league.
Damn it.
You gotta take him in the 2nd.
Yeah. Number 1 overall, Chase Brown.
Spike pick.
All right, I'll wait for Zach Moss in the 8th and be happy with the first 3 weeks. Let's see. Baker Mayfield. I'm going Baker Mayfield as my quarterback for one reason only. Baker is a steady Eddie, solid guy that's gonna grit you out at least 15 fantasy points every week, even if he's bad or the team's bad, or it doesn't matter what the scenario is. He's gonna grit you out a decent amount of fantasy points, and I want to wait and see what happens in week 1. I'm definitely saving all the better quarterbacks for later if I can for good matchups. I want to see what the defenses look like before I use those really good quarterbacks, so I know which matchups to use them at. So I'm using Baker as a guy that I know is going to get me 15 no matter what, get him out of the way early, and then and see what develops after week 1. So that was my planning there behind Baker Mayfield, kind of playing the game here. I went with James Cook against Arizona. Mostly because of that Arizona defense. I think that there's a chance that he makes some run there, and then early on with new receivers for Josh Allen and them trying to. I think they're probably still going to be able to play with the lead most of this game, so they're going to run the ball a little bit more with that positive game script towards the end of the game. So I went James Cook for this one. Tyreek Hill, just because he's at that age cliff. Like, I know he's been there for a couple of years, and I think he's going to be fine. I'm not saying that I'm jumping off of the Tyreek Hill train or anything, but you never really know with a wide receiver when that's going to happen, when that Tyreek Hill is going to hit. And then also being a speedster type of receiver, the hamstrings and the little small issues that he has from time to time, like I know it's nickel and dime. It's Tyreek Hill. He's going to score great if he's on the field, period. Yeah, especially this week since I chose him. And then Pat Freiermuth against Atlanta because of all of what we talked about with Atlanta and their defense earlier, how they have a ton of new players on that defense. And then we have a quarterback in Russell Wilson that's trying to continue to save his job. He wants to be able to keep this job as long as he can. So he's going to need that outlet valve, that dump off guy. And I just feel like that at this point in Russell's career, he would be better served to be more of a dump off guy. So that was my reasoning between my 4 guys in this particular game. You guys want to talk about that for a minute while I get the Leprechaun wheel pulled up for our man Jerry, who's been in the house waiting this entire time.
I was going to put you guys on the spot just because I just thought of this right now, but each of you give me a guy who's going to score a touchdown this week, and I'll give you one.
Besides
and I'm going to bet it this week as a parlay, 3-way touchdown.
Well, I said Jameson Williams earlier, but I like let me think here.
I got mine because I think it'll be good for a parlay too.
CeeDee Lamb?
There you go. I think this one's going to help your parlay odds where you're going to get, a bigger payout. I'm going to go George Pickens.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, no. Like Taysom Hill's definitely scoring, but that's not. I'm going to go George Pickens.
And I'm going to go Aaron Jones. I just think there's no way he doesn't score a touchdown.
I was going to make a comment about Aaron Jones. Like I almost picked him tonight, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to wait till he play the Packers and he scores like 6 touchances. Record, NFL record. No, Scrappy. They're not.
All right.
They can't. He's the best. He's best in the league, man. At least for another year. I love Tyreek Hill.
Okay, so here's how this works with the Leprechaun. We've got the Frankenstein Listener League. For those of you that don't know that are watching right now, we have created this incredible monster of a league. This is unlike any league that you will ever see anywhere else. And I actually had something lined up ready to show off here. Here it is. We have monster cards, and yeah, they're we created them into playing cards as well. But I had one blown up here. The Leprechaun card. You probably can't see it because I have a green screen turned on. But the Leprechaun card. When you're in this Frankenstein Listener League, you draft a monster card, and every monster has its own certain special power. I'm here to announce right now that I've already thought of a way to make the Leprechaun even more powerful because he's not being drafted. He's underdrafted. Only one person drafted him this year, and that was Jerry Bagshaw. You can choose to play your monster cards pretty much any week you want, depending on the card. Some of them have different limitations. But he chose right out the gate, week 1, wait. No, I'm wearing pants this time. That's a comment for Rich. But anyway, he chose to play the Leprechaun card in week 1. So the Leprechaun card for this year, it's pretty basic. We have the monster is the Leprechaun. It's all about the luck of the wheel. So we have a randomized wheel that we're going to pull up, and in this randomized wheel, there are 20 different items on there. And I believe 6 of those items are something that's bad that could actually hurt Jerry by playing this card. One of the items is something that says we have to spin the wheel twice and suffer both fates of the wedges that we spin on. And then the other 13 are all good things, or maybe it's 14 good things and 5 bad. I don't know, but there's 20 items total. So things like you have to lose 50 points for this up-and-coming game. If we spin that, then Jerry's going to lose 50 points for this up-and-coming game. But then there's others that are like he gets immunity from having a player stolen this week. Well, in the Frankenstein, if you lose, then your opponent gets to steal a player from your starting lineup and give you back a starter from their starting lineup. So if we spin that, then he gets immunity from getting a player stolen this week if he loses. So, but the way that I thought about creating this Leprechaun into something a little more powerful is next year, for one, I'm going to boost the good things to make them even better. But also, it's the Leprechaun. I can't believe I didn't think about the fact that the Leprechaun has a pot of gold, which means he should have more fab money than any other team. So next year, instead of starting off with $1,000 in fab money, you're going to get to start off with $2,000 in fab money if you draft the Leprechaun card. So it now becomes a powerful card just for fab purposes alone, plus boosting up the extra powers that come with the card. So this is what I'm doing with any of the cards that weren't drafted or were only maybe drafted in one or two divisions over the course of the last couple seasons, just to try to help even them up a little bit. And we have other surprises, other things we're going to be bringing up for Frankenstein for next season. But for now, yeah, and yep, Hero J. And just to be honest with you, Hero J already knows I'm pulling some ideas from his league. I'm hoping that he's pulling some ideas from our league. I face Scrooge in his league, the fantasy. What's that? What's it called,
Fantasy
Mark?
Powers League.
The Fantasy Powers League. I play Scrooge this week, and Scrooge has a lot more money than the rest of us, so his team looks really good. So, but anyway, same idea, same basic idea, but yeah. So, yep. Thanks, Rich. Yep. I wish I could say I'm full of them, but again, I gave credit to Hero J.
Poor Jerry. Poor Jerry's sitting watching everybody say, "Great idea." Why he's thinking, "Why didn't you think of this before this season?"
All right, so here is the wheel for the Leprechaun for this year. So Jerry, now I will say this much too. I think there's one or two items on the wedge that we can't really do in week one if it lands on it, because like one of them is you get to set your opponent has to start the same lineup they did last week. Well, we can't do that because we didn't have it last week. So if it lands on something like that, we're just going to spin again. But here we go. I like to shuffle 3 times. All right, Jerry, here's your fate. Immunity? And there it is. It's what I called earlier. Yeah, you get immunity from having a player stolen this week. Yeah, so that means if now he's playing Iceman this week, so I can kind of see why he would want to play it week 1, because Iceman is a former champ. So Iceman knows the Frankenstein. He knows how to play in this league. So if Iceman beats Jerry this week, then Jerry gets immunity from having a player stolen. But also, Jerry, let's just beat Iceman. Like, he's already won one of these. Let's just beat him. You can go and steal one from him. And he's saying that Iceman has a better team. It's week 1, man. Anything can happen. Just you've got the luck of the Leprechaun on your side, my man. Now here's another thing. By using it week 1, Jerry, now it's officially the power's gone. The power has taken effect. So after week 1, because technically we do have to wait until the game's done for the power to have been fully in effect, we can drop the Leprechaun from your team after week 1 is done, and that's going to open up a roster spot in your on your bench that nobody else in the league has yet, because everybody else still has their monster cards. So good on you. Congratulations. I'm glad it worked out for you. So that's that. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
I was just going to say, I just placed that parlay. It was plus 1277 for the odds. $20 bet paid out $250.
Also,
it paid out $250?
Yeah, for a $20 bet.
Thursday night, Total Titles After Dark with Rich and Abe and I. If anybody else wants to join, don't care. Probably we're thinking like halftime, maybe a little later, but something like that. So talking gambling, survivor pool, all the good fun stuff. So come check us out.
Right on. I did mention that at the top of the show when we started without you, but
I'm sorry.
I didn't know for sure on the time. So that's cool. It's good to know a rough idea. Plus, I couldn't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday. And now we know. Let's see. It says, when do we have to declare use of a monster card again? Any given week, that is. So it depends on the monster card. Why? So, I mean, it is in the MFL rules, but also you can just DM me and I'll let you know. But some of the monster cards, like Jerry's, since it's an interactive card that we use on the show, he had to play it by noon today. So he actually played it, I think, yesterday. And that's for this upcoming week. So most of the cards that are played for the upcoming week are usually played on Thursday, but not all of them. And most of them that are played for the previous week are played by Tuesday after the games. But again, not all of them. So it just kind of depends on the card. But that's a very good question. So patreon.com/toilets titles. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but just so you know, we do have several different levels in there. I haven't updated that part of our show notes yet, so I don't want to give you those level amounts and be wrong. Just know we've got different levels for different budgets out there. And then at the bottom here, I had down last year something that I learned from each episode, but now that I'm the main host, I feel like it's going to be hard for me to keep up with that. I usually just kind of jotted down something stupid and silly. So, something like not only is Mark a homer, but he's absolutely delusional, something like that.
Just wait,
but
wait and see.
And also, Rich doesn't want to see my monster, so there's that. So just stuff like that. There's just certain things that we learn during the show. Rich, reminder to my opponent, I have the Ghostbuster card. Me too. I've got the ghost, but my opponent's Jason, and he's got Negan. That does nothing. Negan Smith from The Walking Dead does nothing with the Ghostbusters, so I can't stop it. I can't steal CMC if I beat him.
Is Negan immune to the Ghostbuster? Not that you would use it on
yes.
Negan, but is he?
Yeah. Yeah. Hero J, let me just say it really sucks playing the Blob week 1. I feel like I'm losing my best guy either way. I see the head shake.
You're not.
Tell him.
You're not, because as a former Blob owner, you cannot use it in the first 2 weeks of the season. I was kind of upset about that because last year I played.
No.
Is it not first 2 weeks? If you win, sorry.
Right. Yeah, if you beat him, then he can play the Blob card against you. But if he beats you, he can't use the Blob. So here's why I thought you were shaking your head no. Hero J, here's a strategy for you. You get a hero on your team if you go 0-2. So there is a strategy there where you could tank. A lot of people tank early on to try to go 0-2, get a hero, and then bounce back from it. So if you could do that on purpose, you're benching your best players. So if he beats you, he can't use the Blob against you. He is going to steal one of your players, but it's going to be a lesser player because you have all your best guys on the bench. But then you're starting 0-2, which can be tough to come back from to make the playoffs. So it's a gamble either way. But last year we had some guys do that. They got the hero card and they ended up pulling it out, and they came back and they made the playoffs, and others didn't. But also we've adapted your rule, Hero J, where in that last regular season game, the best, highest scoring team that's not already locked into a playoff seed from each division gets a final playoff seed in those last 6 seeds. So if you have a hero and you're slowly bouncing back, you probably at least are going to score a decent amount of points. So maybe you get in that way. So it's just another strategy, just something to think about. Because I was talking with Jason today, the guy that I play in week 1, and I was like, man, you've got me in a spot because you have Negan, so you're protecting CMC. So there's nobody else on his team that I would really want to steal if I beat him, that I would want to give up one of my guys for, because if I beat him, I'm going to like the guys I drafted even more, and they're all kind of even across the board in my mind. So he said, that's okay. I was thinking about tanking anyway. And then I was like, well, I was kind of thinking about tanking because you didn't have anybody I wanted to steal. So this could be interesting. Jason and I could both start our worst teams and hope that we lose. We both hope that we lose, but then we're missing out on points 4, which is crucial for playoff points to get into the playoffs at the end of the season. So many different strategies.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It's you can't double up in the first 2 weeks with the Blob card. You can steal if you lose, but you can't steal if you win and take 2 players.
Right. And then we had to make that change a few years ago because the first year we did, monster cards. We didn't have that rule in there, and there were a lot of teams that lost in week 1. So they lost a player to the vampire, and then immediately also lost another player in week 1 to the blob. So they were down their 2 best players right out the gate. So we were trying to replace teams early. So yeah, there's that. But yeah. All right.
Jerry's got a perfect point right there. Throw his comment up there.
Jerry,
yeah. So with that immunity that he just won, he can go all out and try to win. And then if he loses, he's halfway to that hero card, and he hasn't even lost a player yet. So
and still has the point 4. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not losing any points and still keeping his whole squad together.
Yep, that's right. And a lot of people did that last year too. If they happened to lose week 1 just by chance, then they tanked in the second week, because then what's one more loss if you already have one? So, but the downside to that is if you try in week 1, like for Jerry, it's fine. But for most of us, if we try in week 1 and we lose our best player.
Yeah, but the other problem with the tanking is you could tank the first week and then run into your situation and be against another team that's 0-1 trying to tank, and you get a win and your whole strategy is out the window.
Which also happened. Rich is ready to see you Thursday, Nate.
I'm pumped.
Yep, and Abe. That'll be fun. All right, guys. I think it's time to get off here. This actually didn't take as long as I had thought the week 1 episode would take, but again, next week, tune in next week, Tuesday night, right around the same time, give or take, a Walling kid, and we're going to be talking. It'll be a little bit different. We're going to break down a little bit of what we saw in week 1, and then we're going to slide right into week 2. This was the only Leprechaun card of the season, so we won't have that anymore. But yeah, this was fun. Jerry, thank you very much for playing that card week 1. Appreciate you. Y'all have a great night.
See y'all.
With a million podcasts out there, we're grateful you just followed the titles. We give fantasy football advice to get your crap team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie Persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb, and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but plan for